I still remember the tremor in her voice when she said it. I just need space. For a second, I thought I misheard her. Space? You mean a few days apart? I asked, forcing a shaky smile. She looked away, twisting the engagement ring I'd given her. I don't know, Ethan. Maybe more than that. My throat burned. More than that? Claire, we're getting married in 3 months. Her eyes stayed cold. That's exactly why I need time. Everything's moving too fast. I laughed, but it came out hollow. Too fast? We've been together 5 years. I know, she whispered. But lately I don't feel the same. The words sank like stones. Not the same? I repeated. You're saying this now? After everything? She didn't answer. Just stared at the floor, like the truth might appear there. I took a step closer. Is there someone else? She flinched, then whispered, No, I just need to figure myself out. The silence that followed was unbearable. I heard the ticking clock, the faint hum of the fridge, and my own heartbeat tearing through my chest. I reached out, but she moved back. That hurt more than the words. Claire, I said quietly, I built my life around you. I turned down jobs, friends, nights, out everything for us. Her eyes filled with guilt, but her tone stayed steady. You deserve someone sure about you. I'm not sure anymore. I wanted to scream, to shake her, to make her remember. But all I said was, What happens to us now? She looked right through me. I think we should take a break. Those words shattered something deep inside me. A break, I echoed. So you can breathe? Or so you can leave? She hesitated. Maybe both. I laughed again, but this time tears blurred my vision. I guess that's your answer. I slipped the ring from her finger and held it for a moment, feeling the weight of every promise we ever made. Then I left it on her table. Here's your space, I said quietly. I walked out before my voice broke completely outside. Cold air slapped my face. I sat in my car, staring at her apartment window. Part of me hoped she'd run after me, that she'd say she didn't mean it. But the lights inside stayed dark. My phone buzzed, a message from Liam asking if I was okay. I didn't reply. How do you explain losing everything in one conversation? I stared at the ring in my hand. It still glowed faintly under the streetlight, mocking me. I whispered to myself, You gave her everything, and she just needed space. Hours passed. My car became a confession booth filled with silence and memories, our first kiss at the park. Our late-night talks, the way she once said she couldn't imagine life without me. I guess imagination came easier than honesty. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept refreshing her social media, hoping to see something, anything that would tell me she missed me too. Instead, I saw a photo. Her smile lit up the screen. Beside her was a man in a suit, his hand resting on her shoulder. The caption read, New Beginnings. My heart stopped for a moment. Then came the numbness, heavy, endless, cruel. I whispered her name one last time. So that's what space looks like. The screen's light flickered in my eyes as tears blurred everything. And for the first time I realized she was already gone long before she said those words. The message came at midnight. Liam's name flashed on my phone. Bro, you need to see this. I hesitated before opening it. Then I saw it, Claire, in a glittering silver dress, laughing in another man's arms. They clinked glasses like they owned the night. My chest tightened. I played it again, hoping I was wrong. But her smile was the same one she once gave me. I called Liam. Where did you get this? Online, he said softly. That's Ryan Hale. He's loaded. The video's from Saturday night, the day she said she needed space. I swallowed hard. Saturday night? Yeah, man. I'm sorry. I didn't know how to tell you. My hands shook. She said she needed space, I muttered. Turns out she just needed a better view. Ethan, don't. But I'd already hung up. I didn't think. I just drove. The city lights blurred past as anger burned inside me. My heart thumped like a war drum. When I reached her apartment, I saw her car still parked out front. My knuckles whitened on the steering wheel. I knocked hard. She opened the door in her robe, eyes wide. Ethan, what are you doing here? You said you needed space, I said quietly. Was that before or after you went to the gala with him? Her face froze. What are you talking about? I held out my phone. Don't lie to me. It's all over the internet. She crossed her arms. So you're stalking me now? I laughed bitterly. I'm watching the woman I was supposed to marry dance with another man. Forgive me for being curious. She sighed. Ethan, it's not what you think. Then explain it. She avoided my eyes. It was just a business event. Ryan invited me. I didn't want to go alone. Business event. I scoffed. You looked pretty comfortable in his arms. Stop twisting everything. She snapped. You're making this worse than it is. Worse? Claire, you ended us with 4 words. I need some space. Then you replaced me before the echo faded. Her lips trembled, but she straightened her back. You're overreacting. We wanted different things. Those words again. Different things. They sliced through me like broken glass. Different? I repeated. I wanted a life with you. You wanted someone who could afford a bigger one. She glared. That's unfair? Unfair? My voice cracked. Unfair is loving someone who already moved on. Silence filled the room, thick and suffocating. She finally whispered, You don't understand, Ethan. Ryan, he helps me feel secure. I stepped back. And I made you feel what, poor? That's not what I meant. It's exactly what you meant. She folded her arms tighter. You think love is enough, but it's not. I need stability. I stared at her, really stared, and realized she wasn't the woman I fell for. You used to dream about building something together, I said quietly. Now you just want it already built. Her eyes hardened. Maybe I grew up, maybe I said. Or maybe you just sold out. She looked away. Please leave, Ethan. I nodded slowly. Don't worry. I won't make the same mistake twice. As I turned to go, she said softly, You'll thank me one day. I stopped at the door, my voice trembling. No. One day you'll remember me, and that's when you'll regret everything. Outside. The night air cut like ice. I leaned against my car, shaking. The city buzzed, uncaring. My phone still showed her smiling next to him. I whispered, You didn't need space, Claire. You just needed someone richer. The truth stung, but it also woke something in me, a cold fire. The kind that burns quietly until it consumes everything. I didn't leave my apartment for days. The curtains stayed closed. The air smelled of old coffee and silence. My phone buzzed a few times, Liam, my boss, my brother. I ignored them all. When I finally answered, it was Daniel. You alive? Barely, I muttered. You sound like crap, he said. Open the door. I'm outside. I hesitated, but his knock was relentless. When I opened the door, he just stared at me. You look like hell. Thanks for noticing, I said dryly, walking back to the couch. He looked around. You've been living like this? Existing, I corrected. Not living. He sat across from me. You stopped going to work. Liam says your boss is asking questions. I don't care, I said, staring at the floor. Yeah, that's obvious, he snapped. You don't care about anything anymore. I rubbed my face. She took everything, Daniel. I can't even sleep without hearing her voice, he sighed. So what, you're just going to rot here because some woman dumped you? I glared at him. She wasn't just some woman. She was my fiancée. He leaned forward. Then she should have acted like it. I clenched my fists. Don't talk about her like that. He didn't flinch. Why not? She walked out and humiliated you. You're defending the person who destroyed you. I turned away. You don't understand. He stood up. You're right, I don't. Because if someone ever treated me like that, I'd make sure they regretted it. I laughed bitterly. Regret? She's too busy living her best life? Then give her a reason not to, he said sharply. I looked up. What's that supposed to mean? Daniel crossed his arms. You loved her more than yourself. That's your problem. Love made you weak. You want to get even? Then stop being the victim. I stayed silent, his words sinking in. He continued, if she didn't value your love, make her regret losing it. Something in his tone pierced the fog in my head. I stared at him, my chest tightening. Make her regret it, I repeated softly. Exactly. Show her she chose wrong. Show her what she threw away. He headed for the door. Get up, Ethan. Shower. Eat something. And for God's sake, stop waiting for her to come back. When he left, the silence felt different. Heavier, but charged. I sat there, his words echoing like a challenge. I looked around the apartment, the messy couch, the cold coffee mug, the ring still on the table. This is what's left of me, I thought. A shell. I picked up the ring. The metal was cold, lifeless, but I couldn't throw it away. I slipped it into a drawer instead. Not yet, I whispered. Hours passed before I moved again. The night pressed against the windows, and I caught my reflection in the glass, unshaven, tired, broken. Look at you, I told myself. She wanted space, and you gave her a graveyard. I opened my drawer again, this time pulling out my passport. The photo stared back, younger me, full of hope. I almost laughed. Maybe she needs space, I muttered. Then I'll give her all the space she wants. The idea burned in my mind like fire. Not revenge, not hate. Just distance enough to make her wonder where I went, what I became. For the first time in weeks, I stood up straight. The world outside was still dark, but inside, something flickered alive. I whispered to the empty room. You wanted space, Claire? I'll give you a whole new world to miss me from. When I walked into the office after weeks of silence, everyone looked at me like they'd seen a ghost. Mr. Bennett was the first to speak. Ethan didn't expect you back. I needed time, I said quietly. He nodded, studying my face. You look different. Maybe I finally accepted some things. He leaned against his desk. That project in Singapore is still open. I was saving the slot for you. I hesitated. You really think I can handle it? He smiled faintly. You're the most stubborn person I've met. That's what this job needs. I looked at the papers in his hand. It's a big step. So is proposing to the wrong person, he said gently. I exhaled, half laughing. You heard. Office gossip travels faster than light, he said. You want to start over, Ethan? This is your chance. I took the form from him, pen trembling slightly. Then, I'm in. When I told Daniel later, he frowned. Singapore. That's halfway across the world. I know. So you're just running? I met his eyes. No, I'm walking away before I rot, he sighed. And if she calls? She won't. And if she does? I paused. Then I won't answer. He nodded slowly. Good. Maybe distance will teach her what silence already did. That night, I packed everything that still felt like mine. A few shirts, my laptop, and the passport that started this plan. The ring stayed in the drawer, untouched. I didn't want reminders. I wanted proof that I could let go. Liam dropped by as I zipped my suitcase. You really leaving? Tomorrow morning? Man, I thought you'd just get drunk, not change continents. I smiled weakly. I tried the first one. It didn't help, he chuckled, then turned serious. I hope you find peace out there. Peace sounds too quiet, I said. I just want purpose. The airport smelled of coffee and new beginnings. I checked my phone one last time. No messages, no apologies. Just silence. As I walked toward the gate, the loudspeaker called my flight. A woman behind the counter smiled. First time to Singapore? First time leaving everything behind? I replied when the plane took off. I looked out the window. The city lights faded beneath me, each one carrying a memory I didn't need anymore. The hum of the engines filled the silence that used to belong to her voice. I whispered, goodbye. Claire. The words floated into the hum of the night sky. My mind drifted backward. Our first date. Sitting on that park bench when she laughed at my terrible jokes, the way her hand fit perfectly in mine. Then another memory cut through her saying, I just need space. The contrast was brutal. Love had once felt infinite. Now it was just noise fading behind a jet engine. I closed my eyes. You wanted space? I murmured. Here it is, 35,000 feet of it. Flight attendant asked softly. Sir, are you okay? I nodded. Yeah, just remembering, she smiled. Sometimes leaving is the only way to return to yourself. Her words lingered. Maybe she was right. Maybe I wasn't escaping Claire. Maybe I was escaping the version of me that begged her to stay. Hours later, sunrise broke through the clouds. Gold light poured over the wings, and for the first time in months, I felt something other than pain. Not happiness exactly, just clarity, I whispered. I'll build something new. Something she'll see from miles away. The clouds stretched endlessly ahead. I leaned back, heart heavy but alive, and let the sky carry me toward whatever waited next. The first few weeks in Singapore blurred together. Work, sleep, repeat. My apartment overlooked the skyline, but I barely noticed it. I buried myself in code, deadlines, and the noise that drowned my thoughts. One night, as I sat in the office after hours, Ava Reed walked in with a cup of coffee. You're still here? She asked. I didn't look up. Deadlines don't care about sleep. She placed the cup beside me. Neither does pain. I froze. What makes you think I'm in pain? She smiled softly. Your silence is too loud. I stared at the code on my screen. You analyze people often? Only the ones who look like they're trying not to disappear, she said. A small laugh escaped me. Then I must be your favorite case study. She shrugged. You make it easy. You work like you're running from something. Maybe I am, I admitted. For the first time in months, so I didn't feel judged, just seen. The next evening, she joined me again. Do you ever take a break? I tried once. Didn't like the company. She raised an eyebrow. Your own? Yeah, he talks too much. She chuckled. Then talk to me instead. I hesitated, then sighed. I lost someone. She leaned back. Death. Worst choice. Her voice softened. She left. More like, I gave her all the space she asked for and she filled it with someone else. For a moment, silence stretched between us. Ava finally said, that kind of pain builds walls. I looked down. Then why do you keep knocking? Because sometimes walls aren't meant to protect. They're meant to be rebuilt better. Days passed, and her words lingered. We started talking more about design, music, even bad coffee. She had a way of pulling honesty out of me like it was normal. One night, she caught me staring out the window at the city lights. What are you thinking? She asked. That I don't hate myself as much as I used to. That's progress, she said, smiling. I'm still not okay. You don't have to be, she replied. Healing isn't a race. I turned toward her. You talk like you've been through it. Av. Different story, same pain, she said. You rebuild one brick at a time. I laughed softly. What if the foundation's cracked? Then we pour a new one, she said simply. Her certainty disarmed me. Nobody had ever said it could be that simple. Later that week, after a late meeting, she stopped me at the elevator. You know, Ethan, she said, you're not broken. I blinked. Then what am I? She smiled. Under construction. I didn't reply. I just smiled back. It felt strange, genuine, unforced. That night, I lay in bed replaying her words. Under construction? Maybe that was what this city was doing to me, rebuilding what love had burned down. The next morning, I woke up before the alarm, brewed my own coffee, and for the first time in forever, the bitterness didn't taste like regret. At work, Ava waved from across the room. I waved back, realizing something simple yet powerful. I was still standing. Maybe I wasn't healed yet. Maybe I never would be in the same way. But I was no longer just existing. I was rebuilding, and somehow, that was enough. Years slipped by like pages in a forgotten book, but tonight every word of my past came rushing back. The ballroom glowed with chandeliers, laughter, and polished lies. My company's logo gleamed beside Hale Dynamics on the event banner. Ryan Hale, the man she'd chosen over me. I adjusted my cufflinks and exhaled. Full circle, I muttered. Big night, Ava said beside me. Nervous? I smirked. Not even a little. You've changed. Yeah, I said quietly. I had to. The moment Ryan walked in, the room tilted. The same smug grin, the same arrogance. But it wasn't him that froze my heartbeat. It was her, Claire. Her hair shorter now, her smile tighter, her eyes empty. For a second, time forgot how to move. Ethan, Ava whispered. Yeah. My voice was calm. To calm. That's her. Claire's gaze locked onto mine across the crowd. She faltered mid-step, the champagne in her hand trembling. Ryan, oblivious, was already laughing with two women at the bar. I walked over, each step heavy but steady. Claire, I said, my tone even. She blinked fast. Ethan, I didn't know that I'd be here. I tilted my head. Neither did I. Karma's punctual tonight. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. I gestured toward Ryan, still chasing power. Her eyes flicked toward him. He's different now. Looks like he's still collecting admirers, I said, nodding to the women around him. Her expression cracked. You don't understand. I understand perfectly, I cut in. You wanted stability. You've got chaos in a suit. She bit her lip. Ethan, please. I didn't mean to hurt you, but you did, I said simply. And maybe that's the point. Pain builds better people. She swallowed hard. You look different. I said. Turns out, heartbreak's a great business motivator. Ava appeared at my side then, smiling politely. Everything okay? Claire's eyes darted between us. Who's she? I met Ava's gaze briefly. A friend. A good one. Ava extended her hand. Nice to meet you. Claire didn't take it. Her fingers twitched instead. Ryan finally noticed me and strolled over. Ethan, man, didn't expect you here. I smiled. Business has a funny way of reuniting old acquaintances. He chuckled, clapping my shoulder. Guess we'll be working together. Guess so, I replied, my tone flat. Let's hope loyalty means more in business than it did elsewhere. He froze slightly, then laughed it off. Still got that sharp tongue, huh? Sharper now, I said. Experience hones edges, Claire whispered. Ethan, please. I turned to her. Relax. I'm not here for revenge. Life already handled that part. Her mascara smudged slightly. You think I'm miserable? I don't have to think, I said softly. I can see it. Ryan's phone buzzed. He excused himself, already smiling at whoever was on the other end. As he walked away, Claire's shoulders sank. He's not who I thought he was, she murmured. Neither was I said. But you didn't stick around long enough to find out. Tears welled in her eyes. You hate me, shook my head. No, I outgrew you. For a long second, she said nothing. Then, barely audible, you look happy. I am, I answered. Finally. Ava touched my arm lightly. They're calling us for the speech. I nodded. Let's go. As we walked away, I didn't look back. I didn't need to. The silence behind me was loud enough. Maybe karma doesn't knock. Maybe it just waits for the day you can walk past your past without flinching. And that night I did. The meeting ended with polite applause, handshakes, and a few too many fake smiles. I was collecting my notes when I heard her voice, soft, shaky, familiar. Ethan, can we talk? I froze for half a second. Then I looked up. Claire stood near the door, eyes red like she hadn't slept in days. About business? I asked, my tone flat. No, she whispered. About us. There it was, the ghost I thought I'd buried. I sighed. 5 minutes. We stepped out into the quiet hallway. The air was cold, and so was the distance between us. You look different. She said, her eyes scanning me like she didn't recognize the man in front of her. Different how? I asked, calmer. Stronger, she said. You used to chase everything. Now, it feels like you're being chased by success, by peace. I smirked. Guess losing everything teaches you what's worth keeping. Her lips trembled. Ryan and I, we're over. I figured, I said. He didn't seem like the loyal type. She swallowed hard. He cheated. With someone younger. I caught them 2 months ago. I didn't flinch. I just nodded. Karma doesn't miss its appointments. Tears gathered in her eyes. I deserve that, don't I? I didn't say that, I replied. But maybe you finally understand what you taught me. Her voice cracked. You think I don't regret it? You think it was easy walking away from you? I looked straight at her. Easy enough to post pictures with him the same weekend you asked for space? She winced. I was stupid. I thought I wanted something better, but he only wanted control. I ruined everything. Claire, I said slowly, you didn't ruin everything. You just ruined us. There's a difference. She looked at me desperate. Do you still hate me? That question hung in the air like a storm about to break. I took a breath. No, I said finally. Hate takes effort. I stopped caring a long time ago. Her eyes widened. You mean you feel nothing? Exactly, I said. You're a chapter I've already read. I don't hate you. I just don't reread old stories. Her tears fell freely now. I thought maybe we could talk, maybe be friends. Friends? I laughed lightly. Claire, we weren't even good at being lovers. Friendship would just be another lie. She shook her head, voice trembling. You've changed so much. It scares me. Good, I said. Fear means growth. I was scared too when I realized I didn't need you to feel whole. Is there someone else? I hesitated. Maybe, I said. Maybe not. But whoever she is, she'll get the version of me that learned from you. Claire's shoulders dropped. You really moved on. I had to, I said. Staying broken was your choice, not mine. She looked down. I'm sorry, Ethan, for everything. I know, I said softly. But apologies don't rewind time. They just stop it from haunting you. She tried to smile, but it was brittle. You were the best thing I ever had. And you were my biggest lesson, I replied. For a long moment, we just stood there to people who once promised forever, now strangers held together by silence. Finally, she whispered, Goodbye, Ethan. Goodbye, Claire. She turned and walked away, her heels echoing down the marble corridor until the sound faded completely. For the first time, I didn't feel anger, or love, or pain. Just peace, cold, clean, final peace. And maybe that's what healing really is, not forgetting the fire, but realizing you can walk through it and never burn again. It was late when she showed up. The office was empty, city lights flickering outside my window like quiet stars. I'd just finished a call when I heard a knock. Ethan. Claire's voice quivered through the door. I exhaled, setting my phone down. You shouldn't be here. I just need 5 minutes, she said. Please. Against my better judgment, I opened the door. She looked different. Not glamorous, not composed, just tired. Her mascara was smudged, her hand shaking as she clutched her purse. I don't want to fight, she said immediately. I just need to say this. Go ahead, I replied. My tone was calm, detached. She stepped in slowly. I thought I was choosing stability, she whispered. I thought Ryan could give me what you couldn't. Safety, comfort, a future. I crossed my arms. And her voice broke. I didn't know I was losing love. The silence that followed was heavy, the kind that presses against your chest until breathing feels wrong. I looked at her, really looked. The same woman who once shattered me was now the one breaking in front of me. Claire, I said quietly, why now? Because I can't sleep, she cried. I see you everywhere in the news, in interviews, in my dreams. You moved on, and I can't. I ruined everything. Her tears fell fast, hitting the carpet like raindrops. I wanted to hate you, I admitted. I wanted you to feel what I felt. She nodded weakly. Then hate me. Scream at me. I deserve it. I'm not angry anymore, I said. And that's what hurts you the most, isn't it? That I don't care enough to hate you. She sobbed harder. I loved you, Ethan. I really did. Maybe you did, I said softly, but not enough to stay when it mattered. Her shoulders shook. You were my home. I shook my head. No, Claire. You were my storm. Home came after you. She looked up, tears blurring her eyes. You've changed. I had to, I said. The old me was built to love you. The new me was built to survive you. For a moment, she just stood there, broken, whispering between tears. I don't expect forgiveness. I just need you to know I'm sorry. I know, I replied gently. But you're apologizing to the wrong version of me. The man who needed that apology doesn't exist anymore. Her breathing hitched. You don't mean that. I do, I said. I wanted you to hurt like I did, but seeing you cry doesn't make me happy. It makes me realize I finally healed. Oh. She covered her face with trembling hands. So this is it? This is peace, I said. And peace doesn't come with revenge. It comes with release. Slowly, she composed herself, wiping her tears. You're really not coming back, are you? I smiled faintly. No, Claire. I already left the day you said you needed space. She looked at me for a long time, as if searching for the man she once knew. But he was gone. I hope he finds happiness, she whispered. He already did, I said. Her lips trembled into a sad smile. Goodbye, Ethan. Goodbye. Claire, I replied, this time with no anger. No ache, just calm. She turned and walked out. Closing the door gently behind her, I stood there, staring at the reflection of the city lights on the glass. My chest felt lighter, my pulse steady. For years I thought healing would look like revenge, her suffering, my triumph. But it looked nothing like that. Healing looked like peace. It sounded like silence, and it felt like freedom. The plane touched down in Singapore just as the sun began to rise. Through the small window, I watched the sky bleed gold over the water, quiet, steady, and familiar. I hadn't realized how much I missed that stillness until now, when I stepped out of the airport. Ava was there, leaning against her car. No makeup, no pretenses, just her. You came back, she said, half smiling. I did, I replied, walking toward her. Didn't think you'd actually wait? She shrugged lightly. You always underestimate me. I don't anymore, I said. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The air smelled like rain and coffee, two things that always reminded me of her. You look tired, she said softly. I am, I admitted. Tired of chasing what was never mine? She studied my face. And did you find what was? Peace, I said. Finally, she nodded, as if she already knew the answer. Claire. Gone, I said. So is the anger. Ava smiled faintly. Good. I never wanted revenge to be your ending. I laughed quietly. You always knew what I needed before I did. That's what happens when you stay long enough, she said, her tone teasing but gentle. You stayed. I repeated, almost to myself. I did, she replied. Not because you were perfect, because you weren't. Her honesty hit me deeper than I expected. You never asked me to change. I just asked you to be honest, she said, even when it hurt, sighed, running a hand through my hair. You were there when everything fell apart. And you were there when it didn't, she countered. Don't forget that part. Her words settled between us, quiet but grounding. I used to think love was about possession, I confessed. About proving I was enough, and now? She asked. Now I think it's about peace, I said. The kind that doesn't demand, doesn't take, doesn't hurt. Sounds like you finally grew up. Maybe I just got tired of bleeding for people who never learned how to hold me. Ava stepped closer. You don't have to bleed to be loved. Ethan, you just have to stay. Her voice trembled slightly on that last word, and for the first time in a long time, I let myself breathe. Really breathe. I didn't make it easy for you, I said. No, she laughed softly. You were a storm, and I was the roof, she said. Cracked sometimes, but still standing. I smiled, a real one this time. You always knew how to keep me grounded. It's because you always tried to fly too close to pain, she said. But I never stopped watching the sky. Earth's made something inside me settle, a calm, quiet recognition that I was finally home. Do you ever wish I'd been different? I asked. No, she said without hesitation. If you were different, you wouldn't be here. I looked at her, and for once there was no ache, no longing, just gratitude. Thank you, I said quietly. For what? For staying. Ava's eyes softened. Some spaces aren't meant for distance, Ethan. They're meant for new beginnings. I felt the weight of her words like sunlight on skin, warm, forgiving, alive. Then let's begin, I said. She smiled and took my hand. We already have. As the city woke around us, I realized love wasn't something I had to fight for anymore. It was right here in her steady hand, her quiet laughter, her presence that never demanded proof. Some stories end in heartbreak. Mine ended in peace. The city below shimmered like a constellation trapped in glass. From the rooftop, the wind carried faint echoes of traffic, laughter, and life, all the things that had gone on without me, while I rebuilt myself, piece by piece. I leaned against the railing, the metal cooled beneath my hands, and let the silence settle. Ava's voice lingered in my memory. Don't let the past haunt your peace, Ethan. I whispered to the night, I'm trying. Stars didn't answer, but they didn't need to. The quiet had become my truest companion, not the hollow kind that follows heartbreak, but the kind that listens. Claire's face drifted into my thoughts, her laugh. Her tears, her apology that came years too late. You needed space, I murmured, looking toward the horizon, and I gave you a whole country. The wind brushed against me, as if to say, that was enough. Funny, I said softly, how losing someone can make you meet yourself. I remembered every moment, the betrayal that cracked me open, the nights in Singapore when I couldn't breathe, and Ava's quiet patience that stitched me back together. A voice broke my thoughts. You always come up here when you're thinking too much. I turned. Ava stood by the door, holding 2 mugs of coffee. Old habits die hard, I said, taking one. Couldn't sleep. She joined me at the railing. You're not restless anymore, she said, watching the skyline. You're just remembering. Yeah, I admitted. I used to look at this city and feel small. Now, it just feels honest. She smiled faintly. So what are you remembering tonight? Everything, I said. How it began. How it broke. How it rebuilt. Eva took a sip of her coffee. And how it healed. I looked at her, really looked. Mostly that, she nodded, her eyes warm in the city light. You don't talk about her much anymore. I don't need to, I said. The story told itself. I was just the one who had to live it. Closure, she asked gently. I exhaled. More like understanding. Claire taught me pain, but life taught me peace. Ava smiled knowingly. You always did learn the hard way. Wouldn't be me otherwise. We both laughed softly. For a moment everything felt still, the kind of quiet that doesn't demand words, you know, said, pulling the small velvet box from my pocket. I kept this for too long. Ava's eyes flicked to it. The ring? Yeah, I said. It's funny. I thought it represented love. Turns out, it represented who I used to be. She said nothing, just watched as I flipped the box open. The diamond glinting faintly under the city lights. I walked to the edge of the rooftop. Goodbye, I whispered, and with one smooth motion, I threw it. The ring arced through the air, a tiny flash of silver swallowed by the dark sea below. For a heartbeat, it felt like time stopped. Then, all at once, the weight was gone. Ava came to stand beside me. How do you feel? Light, I said. Like I finally exhaled after holding my breath for years. You're finally free. I looked at her, the skyline reflected in her eyes. Freedom doesn't mean forgetting. It just means forgiving myself most of all. She reached for my hand. Then let's live with that peace. I nodded, a quiet smile touching my lips. Yeah, let's. We stood there in silence, watching the world move, a city alive, a heart reborn. The night no longer reminded me of what I'd lost. It reminded me of what I'd found. Strength, serenity, and the kind of love that doesn't need to prove itself. She taught me pain, I whispered to the stars. Life taught me peace.